absolutely. Same thing. We went shopping and last couple of days and really banged out a lot of stuff.
You went shopping?
Yeah.
Like you actually went to like a mall?
Oh yeah, I didn't order this year. No, we have some
Really?
really good discount stores around here where yeah. I mean, when you're clothing like six kids, you know what I'm saying? You try to find the cheapest stuff that you could get.
I figured online
Um,
options would be better.
what's that?
I figured online options would be better.
No, like you can get a Nike sweatshirt for $15, at some of our discount stores and stuff. So
I did not. I don't do the shopping. My wife does the shopping. My
mm-hmm.
wife does the all-knowing mom look on Christmas as gifts are opening. She's nodding with approval at the happiness, and I'm like, "Wait, what did you get?
Yeah, that
Oh,
was that
that's
was
cool."
yep, that was Scott for a lot of years going. He was as excited to see what the kids got as they were when they were younger because I had to do all the shopping. Now we kind of have a joint effort and we get to shop together, so it's really nice.
Well, that's cool. Give me a minute to adjust.
Hi, Kristen.
Oh, wait.
That might be better. Yeah, that's better. Hey, Kristen. I see Kristen has joined us in our virtual live studio audience. Give a couple more minutes for people to start filing in. I'm seeing 8, but only 1 has announced themselves. Guys, as you come in, please feel free to let me know that you're here if you're comfortable. Just know that any comment you put into our chat might make its way onto our screen for the entire world to see.
Yeah.
It's the way it works here. How about you, Chris? You get Bodie Boy any?
Hi,
Christmas
Kristen.
Yeah, I do. He gets, I mean, I put a bunch of stuff at the bottom of the tree and then I film him coming down the hallway to pick out his gifts.
I love it. No, listen. Oh, you're a man of my heart there because we taught our dogs to unwrap their own presents at like Christmas and birthdays and things like that. And now they actually get obsessed with opening our children's gifts on their birthdays. Like they become a part of it, but they know which gifts to go and look for under the tree. And Scott just rolls his eyes every time I'm there. I'm like, oh, we have to get this little whatever it may be for the dog.
Well, I see we are filling in. I see Lon, I see D, I see Lance, I see Wirehead. Devish, I see you. What's one message for the younger me? Don't give up. That's probably pretty much it. I know things look pretty bad right now, but give it a minute. It's going to get worse.
I can't help but notice too that I'm here inside my own house with a sweatshirt and a t-shirt on, and you two are in like shorts and t-shirts, and I am absolutely jealous. And it's dark today; you can't see. It snowed here. It was beautiful, but yeah, it's sweatshirt season now.
Yeah, no, it gets chilly at night here in Charlotte, but it was nice. Hey, Jim from Nashville, it was nice today. We hit the 50s.
Short weather for me. Chilly as in 49. Oh,
it's gonna be
Kryptonite Fitness is joined. Hello, JC. Well, listen, let me get things started. It looks like we got a few of our regular co-hosts sitting in the chat room. So it's as good a time as any to welcome everybody to another episode of the 3-View Mirror. 3-View Mirror because kind of like a rear view mirror, we look backwards. 3 because there's 3 of us that come together every week. And the idea is much like when you're in a car moving forward, you got to look back to make sure that where you're going gets you where you want to be. We're going to discuss 3 different topics going back to the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And those 3 topics may seem completely random, but our host for the day knows something that the rest of us don't know. And that thing that he knows that we don't know is there's a connection tying those 3 topics together. And as we discuss topic 1, topic 2, and topic 3 in 15-minute segments, at the end of the episode, we're going to give you all an opportunity to try to guess what that hidden connection is. Now, I hope you heard me. At the end of the episode. This isn't an instant where we want you like Horseshack in the chat room, raising your hand going, ooh, save it. You'll get your chance. It's okay. We'll get there. So at the end of the episode, about 45 minutes from now, we're going to give you guys an opportunity, along with Shell and me, to see if we can figure out what the episode's connection is. And today's host is none other than Chris Clues. So he's got the hosting duties today. Yes, I said duty. And he's going to take us on a journey. My name is John Catrides, better known as Gen X Jono, across my social media platforms. And I'll give my co-host a chance to introduce themselves before we get started.
And I'm Rochelle O'Black, better known as Gen X Show, across my social media platforms.
And I'm Chris Clues, better known as Chris Clues, keynote speaker and author that focuses on the work and life lessons that we can learn from 80s pop culture.
Awesome. And this, as they say, I'm not ready, is the three-view mirror.
Here come the floating heads.
Here they come. All right, Chris, it is all you, my friend.
All right. So I'm excited about this one like I always am. And I will tell you, we may be able to get some music in here, but none of the three topics are specifically about music, which is, a shocker for me. And I think I have one of my topics is going to be the longest one of all time. So in terms of words. So the first topic is Ghostbusters. The second topic is Seinfeld.
Nice.
And the third topic is shopping in malls during the holidays in the 80s.
Oh, that's going to be the long one.
So funny, dude. I swear to God, I always say we share a brain. Literally seconds before we went live today, Shell was talking about we were just chatting for a minute, and I'm like, oh, have you gotten your Christmas shopping done? And Rochelle said yes, she did. She goes, we went shopping. And I'm like, oh, you went? I'm like, you were actually in stores, like a mall. And she's like, yeah, there's discount stores. And it was just funny that we were literally talking about starting that up again. Because I've got a lot to talk about when we get to that section, because it's actually in the news lately. So very, very, very well timed, Chris.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's why I said it's a lot of words, but it's a fun topic. So Ghostbusters, Seinfeld, and shopping in malls during the holidays in the 80s.
Love
Maybe
it.
the 90s for some of you. I mean, during the time of malls when they were a big thing. So let's go ahead and start with Ghostbusters. First thoughts.
Do you know the number?
The original Ghostbusters.
I was just going to say, like, I know there's the modern Ghostbusters, and they did a decent job. Some of there's 3 of them now, maybe something like that. But for me, nothing beats the original 2, actually, I should say.
There were 2. There was just a sequel, right? There wasn't a trilogy. It was a Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2.
Yep.
I believe, right? So, if there was a 3, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I didn't. I saw Ghostbusters 1 and 2, the iconic Ray Parker Jr. song, Ghostbusters, that accompanied the movie, and I remember seeing it on MTV on repeat. We were all going to school, and it became a thing. Like, who are you going to call was always followed by Ghostbusters. Do you guys remember the phone number?
I don't.
No.
It was one of the first 555 numbers to enter into the movies. So for a while there, and maybe even still today, but maybe not as much, in order to make sure that people weren't being called by numbers in movies and television, they started using 555 because it was an exchange and an area code that it doesn't really exist. So 555-2368 was the Ghostbusters number.
And it didn't have an area code. Probably
not, just 555-2368.
Yeah, isn't that? It's funny though, because now everything has an area code at everywhere. I remember when I was younger, we used to be able to dial just the last 4 numbers.
Yeah.
Or the last 5 numbers, and then you could be connected through. But I did not know that. I've seen the Ghostbusters car though, like actually like live in person. Every once in a while, they'll there's a car in my area that drives around, and it's a Ghostbusters car. And I've tried to get a picture of it, but it's always like, did I just see the Ghostbusters car? Yeah, never caught one.
The phone number that I always remember from my youth is 8675309.
309.
Obviously.
So I, it was funny. I was doing research on Ghostbusters. Not that I had to do a whole lot of research on it, but I had a plumber here in my house doing some work, and he was probably in his mid-20s, late 20s. And as soon as it wasn't even like 6 notes of the Ghostbusters music came up, and I heard him in my bathroom, and he's like, Ghostbusters. And it's so iconic.
Yeah.
The song, the video, the movie itself, the characters, all the dialogue. It's one of those things. It's just iconic. We talk about how iconic pop culture can be, and you literally hear a few notes of that song, and almost everybody knows what it is immediately.
And I think that John just put it on the screen about the she's not my girlfriend. I think one of the funniest things in the movie for me that I laughed at the most was Bill Murray laying on the ground and just looking and going, he slimed me. That, like, for me, that was just, he had that look about him, and he is so good at that, like, dry kind of a comedy that I just, that's my favorite part of the whole movie.
I like what it brought into it. It gave like these facts, right, about ghosts, that they're made of ectoplasm. And it created an entire universe where ghosts were real. And they broke it down into like, they actually gave us facts about it. So we all became these little experts on ghosts and ghost collection and the tools they use. And I just thought that was really cool because they introduced this entire universe of technology. And I don't think I'd use the word ectoplasm before Ghostbusters. What's going on, Hellraiser? See you there. I thought Life walked in a little late. John is in the house. Good to see you guys.
I'm putting in the topics right now.
If you did use the word ectoplasm before Ghostbusters, that would have been impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, yeah.
And talk about the cast, dude. Yeah. The cast was an absolutely incredible cast of actors.
Yes. I mean, obviously you have, if you talk about the main characters, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, and then you get into Sigourney Weaver and Annie Potts, who, if you're young Sheldon fans, plays his grandmother. Harold Ramis. Rick Moranis. Meemaw, yeah. Rick Moranis. I mean, yeah, great cast. And my favorite line, I think, in the movie is, when he said, when someone asks if you're a god, you say yes.
I do remember that. And when the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man came out, I think I was at that. What year did it come out? 84. Okay. I was in that like goofy humor phase of my life where I was like 11 years old. And the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man was the funniest thing in the entire world to me whenever I was 11 years old, watching the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man come out into the city.
Didn't it become a float in the Thanksgiving Day parade? Or am I imagining that?
It may have.
No, I think they did.
That was another iconic image. So we talk sometimes about iconic moments in film. We talk about iconic lines and music and soundtracks, but every now and then there comes along this image that we all have frozen in our brains. And Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is that. And again, that's something that didn't exist in the real world, but it entered into our lexicon. It entered into our pop culture. It became real. It almost pushed out the Pillsbury Doughboy. It's like, in my mind, those two things fight for real time in the real world. And I got to tell you, sometimes Pillsbury Doughboy loses. Sometimes in my mind, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is more real.
Somebody just wrote in the chat, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. Did you ever hear that thing where people go and they go into like Costco or Sam's Club and then they just start going, they say something and they see if they could get the echo from the other side of the store? I swear to God, next time I go into Sam's Club, I'm going to be like, who are you going to call? And see if I can get back a Ghostbusters.
Can you please film that?
I'm going to. I thought about it like literally this very moment, and I'm going to see if I can get that on tape, and then it'll be a thing.
Life is referring to the fact that I used the word lexicon, and that I'm smart. Lude, I've been working on my vocabulary. If you've been watching the last few shows, I've been sprinkling in some multisyllabic words.
Wow. You got the toilet paper. You got the dictionary toilet paper. That's what it was. The thesaurus toilet paper. And we talk a lot about too with movies and how great the soundtracks were back in the day, and obviously the Ghostbusters song. I know there's movies in this day and age that have songs that are, the people, when they hear the song, they think of the movie or the TV show, but not quite like we did in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I would argue that the song is as popular as the movie. It was as big as the movie. And if you look at the music video as well, you saw that, Ray Parker Jr. showing up in all these different places, and people said, who are you going to call Ghostbusters? The Ghostbusters were in there, so they had the movie scenes, there were cameos, all kinds of cool stuff happening within the video as well. But the song, it stands a test of time in the same way that the movie does.
And so does the character, the with the circle and the red slash through it. The ghost himself, like, was drawn in such a way that, like, as soon as you see it, you're like, that's the Ghostbusters ghost. Like, it's like looking at Casper or something. It's the same ghost, and you just know it.
Even the movements in the music video, like the leaning back with the foot, like the dancing, the moves that they made, it's kind of Thriller-esque in the fact that I see it. We talk a lot about how Gen X, our generation, doesn't just hear music. As soon as we hear the song, in our mind, the video starts playing, because we sat in front of MTV so many hours that we can't separate the song from the video for certain songs. Thriller being one of them, Billie Jean, absolutely Ghostbusters is one of those. And huge moment for Ray Parker Jr. I'm sure the man had an amazing career, but for the life of me, offer me any amount of money you want, I'm going to lose the bet if you tell me to pick another song that he sang. And yet I know, as soon as you said Ghostbusters, I remembered it was Ray Parker Jr. I even remembered the fact that he was but not another song.
No. And Chris, was there another song? Did he have any other popular songs?
Somebody might be able to say, I'm just going to look it up because I don't know, but I thought he had one more that at least got on the charts.
Because as soon as you say it, I knew the name too, because you could just, and the sound of the music also mimicked the sirens of the actual, what did they call that? A van, a truck, a wagon, the wagon, what did they have a name for it? I don't remember.
I think that's what it was called. It was called somebody put it up there. It was the Echo One.
The Echo. Oh, okay. The Ecto
One.
Ecto One. Yes. And you just, it was like the music sounded like it was arriving to come and remove the ghosts from. I know what I'm trying to say. In my head, it's telling me what to say, but my mouth it's not coming out so good. Mino talks so good.
JTR says Huey Lewis sued Ray Parker for copyright infringement on this particular song or on a different.
Oh, yes.
I Want a New Drug. Yeah.
Yes, I Want a New Drug. Huey Lewis in the News. Because it had the same beat. It has the same. Yes, if you listen to them both. It was like, I think it was maybe Material Girl and something else. There was a couple of songs like
somebody wrote Madonna as well.
Yeah, that had a very similar thing where there was like
saying, did anyone mention Ghostbusters versus I Want a New Drug? We're doing it right now.
No, there we go.
I've never heard that, but I'm telling you what, if Vanilla Ice got away with The Pressure versus his song, then there's no way in hell he should have paid Huey Lewis a dime. I don't hear it as much.
Sorry.
Well, I personally hated Huey Lewis in the News, so I'm all for this.
Blasphemy! I love Huey Lewis.
Me too.
So can you guys hear me okay? Because somebody mentioned that my volume.
Yeah, you're a little lighter than the two of us.
I don't want to put this like down here, but how about now?
Oh, I like that.
Oh, we're going there again this week.
The themes are coming. I've got that now. I'm good to
go.
Let's see. How about is that better?
About the same.
Really?
I mean, we can hear you. You're just not as loud.
All right.
Or maybe John and I are just loud, natural people. I've been accused of that before.
Yeah.
So,
Wyra says Vanilla purchased the rights to Under Pressure from Brian May after Freddie Mercury passed away. I do remember he was sued for it originally. I don't know if that happened after, and he won the lawsuit. It was just different enough that he didn't pay much. He paid like very little, if anything.
So back to the movie itself, and somebody mentioned earlier the special effects, and I watched the movie the other day, and I was really kind of impressed, to be honest with you, at the level of the special effects. And I keep harping each week here about how I wish they would get back to. Those obviously weren't CGI in any way, but these practical special effects, because they're not bad actually. And it was pretty good and well done considering the time, 1984.
Yeah, when the gargoyles, they really looked like, and they had to have been pure puppetry. and they really look like they, when they came to life, they look like stone, and then they came to life.
All right, I'm just getting a lot of people saying they can't hear me, so.
Well, I'll fill in the dead air for a minute. I will say this was, it says Chris Clue's recording will continue on a new track, started a new recording for Chris. I don't know what, you switched to a different mic?
Yeah, I want to try this one.
Oh, that's a lot better.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, that's night and day, dude.
Okay, that's great. Good to know.
What did you do? Anyway, it's not important.
I switched mics. I just one of those technical things.
What I was gonna say is though this movie, there's few movies that were like Back to the Future that were like events. When it came out, this was an event. There's no way you weren't gonna see this in the movie. You weren't waiting for it to go to the cheap theaters, the dollar theater. You went with your friends. You saw this. You saw it first run. You saw it in the packed theater. It was that kind of movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and amongst others, during 1984 is a pretty good year for movies.
I was just going to say, was that Gremlins year?
85.
Yeah.
84 and 85 those were two of my probably all-time favorite 2 years. You run into Back to the Future, you run into Gremlins. It's both of them. I'm not sure which is which.
Yeah.
Breakfast Club. It was an amazing 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 84 had the Terminator.
84 is Gremlins.
Temple of Doom, Ghostbusters, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, Temple of Doom. Oh, yes.
Gremlins, Beverly Hills Cop, The Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
The Never-Ending Story, 16 Candles, Police Academy, Romancing the Stone. I could go on. The Natural.
Those are movies that even still today you could stop and watch again, and they haven't crossed over, in my mind, being a Gen Xer, they haven't crossed over into hokey. Sometimes you could go back and you could watch a movie from the 80s and you're like, this is so dated. This is so hokey. This is so whatever. And none of the ones, literally, I think that you mentioned, couldn't be watched today and not be still hold its ground. And then they're still making movies out of them, remaking things from those years. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all 85 was St. Elmo's Fire, Breakfast Club, Teen Wolf, Weird Science, Back to the Future, Legend of Billie Jean, European Vacation. It was those mid 80s. The Goonies was 85. Those 2 years, the mid 80s, Flashdance, Footloose, that was amazing. Incredible. And this movie was part of that.
Yeah.
Kevin just made I was just going to say, he just made a very smart comment right there. Right to our heart, because as Gen Xers, we all know that those are Christmas movies.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine that I follow made a point that not only is Die Hard a Christmas movie, have you seen this video? Not only is it a Christmas movie, it's a Hallmark Christmas movie, because he is literally the guy who's obsessed with his work, which causes his job causes him to lose his marriage, in the big city. And then he follows her on a trip and things happen and they get back together. It is literally a Hallmark movie.
Wait, Jay just said, I just described a classic in quotes. I took 10 minutes to describe what is just called a classic.
Welcome to our friend's show. So listen, we could go on. We're actually running late on this one. So last call on it. I'm sure you got a little bit more to shoot our way, Chris. But if not, we can move to the second topic.
No, I think everybody covered it. I mean, we could talk for hours about Ghostbusters and all the little intricacies, but I really want to just focus broadly on Ghostbusters, the song, the video, the movie, and all the great characters and quotes. So
where are we going from here?
Next topic we're going to talk about, another massive pop culture brand, and that would be Seinfeld.
And Wirehead said he had nothing to contribute.
Seinfeld is strangely polarizing.
Yeah.
Friends is kind of too. Seinfeld maybe more so. You either really loved it or you didn't get it. You didn't understand what the big deal was. You couldn't quite figure it out. A lot of times, in order for a sitcom, a movie, a show, something to become popular, the characters need to be likable. And I'm not exactly sure these four were.
I used to, Elaine with her,
The dance.
the dance. She's like, I'm a good dancer.
Yeah, I mean, look, the reason I wanted to talk about Seinfeld, a couple of reasons. One is that, you know, it ran for 9 or 10 seasons, and that's a pretty good run. And sitcoms tend to do that if they're good. And we don't have the sitcoms that we used to have. We don't have the Thursday night. We've talked a lot about sitcoms on this show, the ones that are back in the day, the Taxis that only lasted a few years, by the way, in the 70s, and MASH. And then you got into the 80s and they started having these longer runs. So Cheers, for example, I think it went 8 or 9 seasons, and Seinfeld went 10 seasons, and Friends went 10 seasons. And most recently, Big Bang, I think, went 12. So it's really impressive to be able to keep coming up with content, funny content. If you think the show was funny, some people don't, but if you thought it was funny, and I did, albeit the first 2 seasons, when I see those episodes, I'm like, I feel like they're still figuring out their characters, getting their feet under them. And then by the 3rd season, they really hit the ground running. But the idea that the show was really about nothing, I think, was what made people enjoy the show, because almost every topic they had was something that all of us could kind of get our hands around, or a lot of people could. It wasn't, they were talking about something that only people in New York could relate to, or only people in Boston could relate to. They found these topics that everybody could relate to.
Seinfeld created, or at least capitalized on, the term of water cooler topics. So the idea, if you've never really watched Seinfeld, I would hazard to guess that there's a likelihood that if you watched a few specific episodes to start, you may find yourself liking it more than you thought you would have. Because there's the Festivus episode, which this time of year is just, it's must-see TV watching for me. The airing of grievances, just the whole idea of behind it, whether you like the show or not, the topic, the writing is ingenious. Mm-hmm. The idea of the Today sponge going off the market, and Elaine scouring the entire city of New York to get her hands on every last contraceptive sponge that's out there. Basically telling us all she is the biggest slut in the city, and she did so unapologetically, buying these sponges by the case. The contest where they had to refrain from sexually pleasing themselves to see who would win. These are things that happened on television before then. And if you had a group of 3 or 4 friends, you couldn't help but discuss and play the what if game. What if we were to play that game? Who would be the first one out? Who would be the one that could last like a camel walking through the desert? That's what did it. For me and my friends, it wasn't so much the show, although I loved the show. It was seeing ourselves within the characters. Who would you have been if we had that contest, for say? I'm assuming Chris is out before we even finish the podcast. Shell, you could probably cruise through June, and I'm somewhere in the middle.
Most women can probably cruise through June, is all I'm saying. We're not getting on these topics again, but I'm just saying we're pretty good at cruising through, but anyway. No, one of my favorite, Poppy peeing on the couch that got peed on. But somebody else mentioned, they said that they thought that, Master of My Domain, that Kramer made the show funny. Me, I personally love George. Can't stand ya. I loved Costanza's dry, and then he would get all excited and just say something that was like outrageous, and his mother and father were the best. I cannot remember their real names at the moment, but they were the best in the show.
Well, the mom, the one where she walked in on him in the bathroom. I walk in on my son and he's treating his body like an
amusement park. Well, the father was Jerry Stiller.
Jerry Stiller, that's
dad. So he was. Yeah. You got it. The amount of yelling the man did on every episode. I don't. Every character. I've never seen a show that created a bank of characters the way Seinfeld did. And although we've talked before how it ended badly in our opinion, the idea behind the finale was to bring in all those characters, and there were just too many. I think that's what ruined the finale. They had everybody from Poppy to what was the guy that got deported because they didn't bring his mail up? Abu.
Yeah.
You are a very bad man.
Yes.
It's all of it. And to your point, Shell, I didn't like any one character more than the others. They all had their place, and the spotlight shined on all of them. But we had this as a topic before, and we played a little game where we just went and started doing Seinfeldisms. Up for a rematch?
I don't know.
I don't know if my brain is
My
like.
brain's not in gear today. I don't know if I can do it. I go, dude, no. I there's so many of those iconic moments.
People have been streaming them. Serenity Now, Master of My Domain.
Blizzard
Shrinkage.
said, I was in the pool.
I was in the pool.
Shrinkage. Yeah, if you hated it as a teenager, if you hate Soup Nazi, it's worth. I didn't like Cheers in its first. I didn't like Everybody Loves Raymond. I was just too busy doing other things at that point in time, and now I see those shows. Cheers is iconic, and we overuse that word. It's iconic, but I didn't appreciate it at the time.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Shell. I love George's character. I mean, I just remember the one where he got the got the toupee.
Oh God!
Yes.
I hate this, and she rips it off his head and throws it out the window, and it gets run over.
No, the bum picks it up.
Oh yeah, but it gets run over first. Then the bum picks it up and puts it on his head. But yeah.
I like the one where George. Well, I love the puffy shirt episode, and then him with the iron when he was going to be a hand model, you know, and he grabbed the iron kind of thing. But no, when George was dating this like supermodel of a woman, and then he looked down and her toe was a little fugly, and like he could not date her because her toe was a little bit fugly. And that's what made the show, I think, funny. Like you said, the next day when you're talking about it over the water cooler, it was, then if you saw someone like George with his wallet, remember he was putting all those things inside of his wallet and he couldn't close it, you know?
If I go get my wallet, I have a Costanza wallet.
A Costanza wallet. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, and that was what you did. You talked about that the next day, at some point, whenever you watched the show. Oh, Bubble Boy.
I love these. They're all making me smile. They're real and they're fabulous. That was the guest stars. That was what's her face from Lois and Clark. From Desperate Housewives. Jerry Hatcher. Holy moly! Yeah. Jerry had the most amazing girlfriends. At one point or another, he dated Terry Hatcher. He dated Courtney Cox. I mean, they were coming. Even Bette Midler was on the show in a story arc, and she's something.
Wait, I got one. He took it out.
He took
it
out? What out?
It out.
He took it out? Yes, sir, Bobby. I can do that. I mean, I've seen them all so many times. If Seinfeld is ever a Broadway show and they need somebody that can just recite the lines, I am showing up. I don't even have to study. I got it.
Ass Man. Somebody mentioned the Ass Man.
Ass Man, Hoochie Mama.
Favorites. Hey, Ass Man.
Dr. Cosmo Kramer, proctologist.
I don't remember that one.
It's when he had the Ass Man, the license
plate. The wrong license plates went to him, and he ended up with a plates that said Ass Man.
I don't remember that one.
Did you tell her about shrinkage? Don't they know?
We all know about shrink. No, or Jerry Seinfeld when he was in the car and he was like picking it. It wasn't. I was a scratch. I was scratching my nose. I wasn't picking it.
It was outside.
Yeah.
Oh, spare square. That was that was Jamie Gertz.
Can't spare a square. Can't spare a square.
No, not a square to spare.
Not a square.
Now, has that ever happened, Stall, where you've been in one stall? And do women do that? And they're out of toilet paper, so you ask the woman in the stall over for toilet paper?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. It just right underneath. You know, it doesn't matter. I mean, nobody. It's no fun to drip dry. I mean, it's not. It's a little different for us to shake it off. So,
yada yada yada. You yada yada over sex.
Yeah,
that's the best part. No, I mentioned.
The bisque. I mentioned the bisque. Yeah.
But so when people say to me they don't like the show, I'm like, have you really given it a shot? I mean, again, differentiate between liking the characters. I think especially now that we're all a little bit older, you'll appreciate the writing. You'll appreciate the plots.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you haven't given it a shot in 15 or 20 years, or you didn't watch it when it was on originally because you weren't a fan of it, give it a shot now. I think you'll appreciate the characters a lot more in the storylines. The low velocity shower head once JTR mentioned that one was awesome.
or somebody mentioned, and I just forgot it already. Went in my head and then whoosh, out. It just was, and my favorite episode we've talked about before. Our favorite episodes, there were so many. One, Kevin mentions Jerry befriending Keith Hernandez.
Oh, yeah.
When he goes over what it's like to have a new guy best friend, it's hilarious because there is this man crush thing that happens to us guys sometimes. Have you ever had that one really cool friend and you're like almost giddy? You're like, I can't believe this guy's my friend, and it's like I don't have a crush on him, but. I'm not. What was it? He goes, I'm not picking him up at the airport.
Didn't they make a whole entire episode around a merce? A man purse. Did they?
I was friends with Joey. Joey had a merce.
Maybe it was Friends that I'm confusing it with. Or when George's dad ended up being the translator at the nail salon, and then they ended up knowing each other, being like the long lost loves and stuff.
That voice.
John McJuckin, I just featured that exact line in a video yesterday. We keep saying we share a brain. We share a brain. We share a brain. Yesterday, Chris, I featured a video with that, and today Seinfeld's one of the topics. It's just, but it's in the lexicon now. It's part of it. You almost can't say, oh, that person's gay without somebody of our era coming right back with, not that there's anything wrong with that. No, of course not.
My father's gay.
I love the show so much. Like, don't hate on it. It's a great show.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, give it. I mean, honestly, if you watch a few episodes, if you want another shot, and you haven't watched in a while, and you want to watch a few episodes, get to season 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there. Don't do the first 2 seasons because they were getting their feet under them. It's the same thing. Like I tell people, if you haven't watched The Office and you want to give it a shot, just don't start like after season 7. When Michael Scott is gone, it's not the same. But it's the same thing with Seinfeld. They got to get their feet under them for a couple episodes.
The bra for men.
Oh, the man's ear.
The man's ear.
Oh, you're right. Angry says Jerry had a man purse. I do remember it. I says, no, I don't. I do and I don't. I remember when someone was making fun of him for the coat he was wearing. I don't know. I've seen every single episode many times.
But there was oh God, I just got reminded of one. Oh, when George puts the sexy pictures of himself in the to get developer.
Yes. Like you could still there for a while. You could actually buy that picture.
Kramer, where he's on the wall. That entered Spencer's. Spencer's gifts. That Kramer poster probably sold as much as Farrah Fawcett. I had that in a college apartment. The one of Kramer that he's just sitting there. That was the other one I kept forgetting and remembering, and then I'd forget and remember again. And somebody mentioned it. Believe it or not, George isn't at home.
Yes. And George's sexy pictures was the timeless art of seduction. Timeless art of seduction.
I had that picture.
Yeah.
And then you had one of my favorites, because you mentioned Kramer in the Christmas card, and she took the pictures of Elaine, and she's like, everybody's calling me Nip. He's like, Kramer, do you see anything on this card? He's like, oh yeah, I see a nipple.
No, but George didn't know what was going on. He's like, everybody got a Christmas card, but I didn't get a Christmas card. She's like, you want a Christmas card? Here. And she takes his face and just smothers it all over her breasts and then releases him. And he's like, oh. The other thing, so 80s television shows, whether it was Moonlighting or Cheers, the Will They, Won't They, Remington Steele, a classic trope of so many 80s sitcoms, Rachel and Ross, was Will They, Won't They? Will they get together? Won't they get together? Seinfeld flipped that on its head. Jerry and Elaine dated at the earliest onset of the show, but there was never that chemistry between them. It was completely and totally obvious. She was one of the guys. That was basically it. There was no sexual tension. I loved that. I loved that they didn't lean into that there was no Sam and Diane. They were just buddies. And I had some girlfriends like that when I was in my early 20s, and I liked that they did that. I'm like, that's cool. They're not falling into that trap. Susan dying from licking the wedding invitations.
Oh, yeah.
And them not caring.
I always thought it was weird when they brought in Putty, though, because I loved Putty as a character. 8 Ball. When that 8-ball jacket that he was always wearing. But I always thought it was kind of strange because they did not belong together.
That's what made it so awesome, though.
Yeah.
I'm free, Jerry. I'm completely free. I'm wiggling and jiggling free. Oh my God. There's nothing separating us but a thin layer of I don't remember the material they're talking about. Yeah. Kramer went commando.
And you want to be my latex salesman.
When he fell out of the bathroom.
I don't think so.
Vandalay Industries.
Vandalay Industries. That's right. The importer exporter.
No, you got it all wrong. There's no Vandalay Industries.
All right.
Oh man.
We could go on with Seinfeld for an hour or two, I think.
It makes me want to go rewatch it. I haven't seen it in 20 years, I think.
I haven't seen it at all. I'm so jealous.
You take the chip, you dip the chip.
You took a bite and you dipped again.
You dipped the chip.
What do you say? It's like putting your whole face right in the bowl. I can't say enough about it. If you've never seen it, I'm jealous. Go watch it. Start with season 2. You'll loop back to the beginning, which is worth watching, but not initially. And there's no backstory. It's 4 friends. There it is. Done. There's your backstory.
It's kind of like it didn't go from week to week. You didn't have to watch it. You could watch it. I think that's what helped it in syndication too, was just you could pick up at any episode. It was like the Golden Girls or some of those other shows that were very successful in syndication because it didn't matter. It was just the cast of characters and you could watch them over and over again.
Yeah, they would talk back, like the hand model episode you mentioned, when the guy's looking at George's hand and he was talking about the guy that preceded him in that position. The reason that hand model destroyed is he fell victim to self-gratification and his hand became like a claw. And George goes, I'm all right. I won a contest.
He's skipping down the street with his hand.
Well, because, he's the laziest human being ever to walk the face of the earth. And, so he finally found a way to not do a job. And then he ends up working for the Yankees. I don't know. I could go on. Gabardine, yes. Only a thin layer of gabardine between Kramer's thing and the rest of the world. I love our cat. Awesome.
I love all the comments that people are putting in here too, because they're remembering the people that do remember the show. They're putting in all of those episodes because they were just so iconic. I know I keep scrolling because I'm like, there's so many of them.
Yep. All right. So maybe we'll just do a Wireheads. We might have converted him just a little bit because he said, I'm going to have to watch some Seinfeld.
Do it.
So do it. And you can get back to us and let us know what you think. Watch a few episodes. You got some good ideas for episodes from the chat here today. That's a great thing. Google is your friend. You can find the episode. Okay. So, all right. So we've talked about Ghostbusters. We talked about Seinfeld. And now we're going to talk about the longest topic in terms of words I think we've ever had. Shopping in malls in the holidays during the 80s. So we're going to go back to when we used to shop in malls on a consistent basis. Some of us still do, Shell. But that idea of like in the 80s and even in the 90s, going to the mall, whether, I say during the holidays, like when we were going there to buy the gifts for, maybe our parents or girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. And then maybe we did what I did and we spent more time in the arcade than we did actually shopping for gifts. But just the nostalgia that it brings back thinking about what a mall looked like during the
Amazing.
holidays.
Yeah, some of them were so decked out. I had a local mall near me. It's since torn down and it's now a Walmart. It was the most beautiful mall you've ever seen, and it had and I talk about this because I'm from the greater Pittsburgh area. This train that they had for children. There used to be a thing with going to see Santa and riding the Christmas train when you were a kid. They had these trains that were worth it. Like they went way all the way around the mall. Now, unfortunately, I just see these little dinky trains that go around one circle and then they go around another circle. And Santa comes in, they plop the kid on the lap, take a picture. Here's, charge you $40 for it. And there you go. Whereas in the 80s, it seemed to be a little bit different. It was very much so. You sat on Santa's lap. There was no pressure. You were there to see Santa. You were there to ride the train, and everything was magic.
So I will take your train and go one better. If you guys ever get a moment, Google Midtown Plaza in Rochester, New York, which is one of the first indoor malls in the country. They built an entire Magic Mountain in this mall and had an in-the-air monorail that would go around. And this thing was, in my mind as a little kid, 30 feet up into the air that went around, went in through Magic Mountain. And my dad, we grew up with, most of us, a lot of us, our parents didn't have a lot of time, right? My parents owned a diner. They didn't have a lot of time. They worked a lot. They loved us. I was very fortunate. My parents told me they loved me on a regular basis. I was very much latchkey. The mall at Christmas, Chris, you mentioned going there and shopping for your parents. My memories are centered around my parents taking us so they could shop for us and get the pictures with Santa and then release us into the mall when the time came for them to shop because they didn't want us to see what they were buying. So me and my two brothers were just running through the mall, KB Toys, Spencer's Gifts, Walden. It doesn't get any better than that. Seeing where the fountains were retrofitted with the giant Christmas tree, it's Chris, Rochelle put it. It's magic.
Yeah. It was magic. I pulled up a picture of. It's probably not going to show up really well.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
Montgomery Ward's there in the background. I think that's Montgomery Ward's back there. Yeah. I mean, beautiful, iconic places that just, you don't know how long that took those people to make. There was a village there, a Santa village. And so, talk about a place where, I think our parents put us on the train and it lasted like half an hour. Well, one parent stayed, the other one ran off and shopped, like you said, and went and got the stuff and put it in the car. And then the other one would go off and shop. It was just, I love Christmas. And the reason I don't online shop at Christmas time as much as I would do it the rest of the year is mostly because that magic, I still remember it, even if it's not as decorated and not as magical now. I still feel it.
Well, and people were like, my mom used to be like, I hate going to the mall, the lines, the people, the parking. I get that there's barriers to it. My wife hates it. She's like, I don't want to go to the mall if I can find it on. I get it. I get the barrier. But I've still got enough of that magic in me that it overpowers all of that for me. Still worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just that it was, we were very
fortunate. Hey, Luna.
Even was it? I think it was Stranger Things season 3 was in a mall, and it was really cool to see that. And I'm a big fan of Stranger Things, but for a lot of reasons, my favorite season was the one that spent a lot of time in the mall because it just brought me right back. Somebody mentioned earlier they had a job in the mall. So did I. I had several jobs in the mall. So did my sister. And meeting up, somebody else mentioned meeting up in the food court. But the magic around Christmas, even when you were a teenager and there wasn't that Santa magic around it anymore, it was still awesome. The decorations that you just showed, Shell, and popping in and out of the stores. And as I got to be a little bit older, I liked going into Macy's and just trying the different perfumes and colognes because the girls were pretty. They were spraying it. So I was like, I'm not supposed to be wearing this like, they're like, oh, do you want to try Obsession for Women? Sure.
Okay.
It's like, I'm 15 years old. I don't even know what to say to them. I'm just, walking around probably blushing the entire time and getting as many tests of perfume and cologne as I could.
Hey, Ultra Mensch comes in and says, hi, guys, I'm old too. Yeah, without a doubt. Then the other magic was, and this wasn't specific around Christmas, but there was more of it going on because there were more of us there at Christmas time. And that's when the cute boy or the cute girl that you didn't know, because it wasn't just kids from your school at the mall, at least it was kids from every school. So there were other kids there, kids you didn't know. And I remember one time, I wasn't particularly attractive growing up. Finally came into my own, speaking honestly, like junior, senior year. Before that, really late developer, really gawky, really dorky. I remember it might have been my junior year. Some girl came up to me while I was walking with my brother and goes, my friend thinks you're really cute and wanted to know if you wanted to hang out at the arcade with us. Dude, it doesn't get better than that. It didn't matter who she was. That was awesome, And then like for about an hour or 2 hours at the mall, you have yourself, assuming you weren't dating at the time, you have yourself your mall girlfriend for the day. You didn't do anything. You played video games together, you hung out, but it was like this little relationship that lasted the span of 2 hours. You couldn't get her Snapchat. You couldn't get her Instagram. You couldn't get her number to text her. It ended at 2 hours. You promised you'd see each other again, but sometimes that was it. It was just that little 2-hour love affair. And it's, if you had that, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was really cool.
Yeah, I like how you said that, a 2-hour love affair, because there was plenty of those times when you hung out with someone and you thought they were the greatest thing, but then you never saw them again. Ever.
2-hour love affair. That's just Tinder now.
Yeah.
2 hours? Okay.
Somebody mentioned, of course, you got to mention Mike Damone selling concert tickets at the mall. I mean, in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I mean, again, like so much of our life centered around the mall, or I shouldn't say so much of our life, but we all went to the mall. Most of us and a lot of us did hang out in the mall for different reasons. And the movies showed that. There were a lot of movies in the 80s where a core part of the movie, or at least one of the characters, was in the mall, worked in the mall, spent time in the mall. And you could go down a whole list of them, including Fast Times.
I remember a sound, and I don't know if this will make anybody else recall this too, but going into the record store, and the tapes used to be, the cassette tapes used to be in a big plastic frame because they didn't want you stealing them. And I can just remember going click, 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 click.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to, and that's all you heard when you went into the stores, people clicking through the plastic framed cassette tapes to try to find the one that they wanted. And then you hung them on your arm. If you were going to buy 3 of them, you hung them on your arm to go take them up to the checkout.
Love Mallrats, Kevin.
Yeah, me too. Great soundtrack.
Love Kevin Smith. Love Mallrats.
The
other sound like that for me, Shell, was the posters. The posters were in, and you'd flip the posters, flip, and you'd hear the plastic would hit from one to the other, and that sound stays with me.
That was in Spencer's Gifts. At the back of Spencer's Gifts, they had all the posters.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I told you at the beginning, at the onset, that the malls have now made the news. So there was just an article that came out that I was reading that said Gen Z has discovered a love of the malls now. And that all of a sudden they're realizing that it's kind of cool to be able to go in person, touch the fabric, try on the shirt, see how it looks, see how it feels, and have it instantly instead of waiting. So they're finding instant gratification. So as a generation with a shortened attention span, the idea of able to instantly have something in their hands is really appealing to them. And malls are changing the way they're laid out to try to draw them in. There are what they call selfie mirrors. So as they're getting changed and putting on outfits, they can do a selfie and show it off. There's all these things they're doing to try to make it more Gen Z friendly. And apparently it's working.
I've never seen a selfie mirror. That's actually kind of neat. I like that idea. Yeah.
I did. I remember during Christmas going into like a Macy's and saying to somebody, like, I'm looking for something for a girl I was dating or had a crush on. I've got $10 that I worked really hard for. But the wrapping, they could professionally wrap it for $1.50. Mm-hmm. So I actually had $8.50. I'm like, I have $8.50 because I want you to wrap it. Because if I wrap it, it's going to look like Stevie Wonder wrapped it. It's going to look terrible. It's going to be all over the place. And I would much rather. And now, in hindsight, would have shown that I did some work with it. But that was my thing. Like making sure I found somebody who knew how to professionally wrap it. I'm like, damn, you guys are good, man. How do you do this?
I worked at a place in Buffalo called Doll Kempers. It wasn't in a mall. It was in a plaza. It was kind of like a brand names. Have you ever heard of brand names? They'd have one of everything on the shelves in the warehouse that would be where you would pick it up when you left the store.
Ours was service merchandise. Just
like a service merchandise.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I remember during the holidays, our girls in charge of wrapping or whatever didn't show. And for a 6-hour shift, they threw me and my buddy Scott Eberly in the back wrapping presents. And I got to tell you, thank fucking God we didn't charge for gift wrapping, because if this thing wasn't perfectly square, there'd be times like, are you kidding me? It was laughable. It was so bad. But Merry Christmas to anybody that got a gift in 1989 from Doll Kempers that looked a little messed up. That might have been my fault.
And some of the department stores, this is another thing that's changed at malls from when you went to Christmas shopping in the 80s. every single stinking department in Macy's had its own checkout. I mean, there was the boy children and the girl children's and the shoes and then the men's shoes and the boy.
They don't anymore?
No, there was a checkout everywhere. Now there's like a checkout maybe for like an entire quarter of the rest of the place. JCPenney did the same thing. There used to be massive people.
There's less employees.
Yeah, there's less employees and you know, longer lines, and sometimes it is a pain to go Christmas or go to the mall to go shopping on a regular basis. But the holidays makes it special.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I really, there is a mall that's not too far from me, and now that we've been talking about it, and I feel like I should be poking my eyes out, actually walking into a mall again because I hate shopping. Period. But I may just go there just to walk around and see the decorations and hear the Christmas music, because after all, the elevator music is now our music.
Yeah,
but we're going to hear 80s Christmas songs and holiday songs as the quote unquote elevator or mall music.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, as the haves and have-nots in the country have gotten more spread out, that also is the story of malls in America. The more affluent malls in more affluent regions in our country are still doing ridiculously well.
Probably.
We have a mall in the South Park region of Charlotte, which is a really affluent, either or. It's doing ridiculously well. Other malls in not so nice areas are not.
There was an elf wrapping gifts in the
I put that up. I also one year was put in charge of assembly.
She has a picture of her doing that. She needs to send it to you, John, for your Christmas.
Yes.
80s, 90s thing.
I'll take all that. And I got one from you, Chris, that'll make its way up. I posted 3 today as my follower. And if your picture has not made it up onto my pages yet, don't worry. At the end of the year, whatever I don't use, I put into one mega massive post, and hopefully it'll show up there.
Do they know it's Christmas? Yes, I hear that a lot too. More than I want to hear it, actually, to be honest with you. There's plenty of other Christmas songs, particularly from the 80s.
I always wanted to work at the mall. Closest mall, I grew up in a very small town. Closest mall was the Finger Lakes Mall in Auburn, New York. It was 30 minutes. So it was still kind of an excursion. We still did it. We drove there without driver's licenses with people that had cars. It's like we found our way to get there. That's how big the draw of the mall was. But it wasn't right around the street, so I could work there. But I did work retail, obviously. Hence the Christmas.
The roasted almond kiosks make the whole mall smell so good. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
They do.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's what it was. It was like it's like a little village inside. And during Christmas and during the holidays, you got those smells, and you got that somebody mentioned earlier, the terrible smells that malls sometimes had, which was absolutely true. But at least during the holidays and Christmas, you had the pine smell, and you had the roasted almonds, and then the music and the wrapping and the decorations. And call me what you will, but I'm a huge Christmas person. I love it. I love this time of year on so many levels. And absolutely. I miss being able to go to one place like that. I can walk around my neighborhood and see some pretty cool decorations that people put up, but I miss going to one place and having all of my senses driven by Christmas. Or the holidays.
That's why we went shopping.
And that's why they're rediscovering it again. And I mean, that's the good news. People are and I think we're going to see a shift. We're seeing it in so many different aspects of our lives where people are going back to the virtual was great. It was fun. It was nice. It's convenient. It has its benefits. But I think those of us who are older miss the way it was, and those that are younger are realizing why we miss the way it was. So there's hope. Things could swing back a little bit. I always look forward to the best of all worlds. I love shopping on Amazon. I do. I love being able to stream any show I want. But last week, I made sure that my entire family was front and center to watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer at 8:00 the moment it came on. Yeah. We're watching it live. We're not pausing. We're not rewinding. We're not taping it. I'm not doing any of that. Get your asses in here, and you go to the bathroom on commercial breaks, and that's the way we watched it. And my 12-year-old goes, "That was kind of fun." It's like it was exciting because I knew I had to be back before it started. I'm like, "Welcome to my life." That's how we grew up. Hey, Robert, I see you. Go Lions, man. Good luck this week. So, Chris, I mean, shoot, we're at an hour.
Yep, and we talked about, just to recap, We talked about Ghostbusters, the movie, the song, the video. We talked about Seinfeld. Those are my topics, right? Ghostbusters, Seinfeld, and then shopping in the malls during the Christmas holiday season in the 80s. All of those do connect to one thing.
I'll be damned if I know.
I'll be damned if I know either. I haven't got a clue.
I can promise you there was not a Seinfeld episode that took place in the mall. But hold on. I might be getting it. 1, 2,
chocolate vodka.
3. So here's what I've got. Let's see if anybody let's see if our virtual live studio audience has anything. I can connect 2. It's been some time since I've seen Ghostbusters, so I'm not sure if there's that. But when I was saying that I've not seen a single Seinfeld episode that took place in a mall, I corrected myself in my own brain and realized there kind of was. JC from Kryptonite Fitness says Scrooged.
It's a good guess. It's actually, I will say, it's along those lines. Kryptonite Fitness is on the right track.
Then I'm wrong.
But it's not Scrooged.
What did Kryptonite Fitness say?
Scrooged.
So here's what I got. And it's wrong because it has nothing to do with Scrooge. And it's only 2. But the one thing about the mall that happened every single time my dad took us was we lost the damn car. Leaving the mall, we couldn't find the car to save our asses. If there was an emergency, we had to get home quickly. The person at home was dying. We were not getting there because it took us 3 hours to find the car. Likewise, that is a huge Seinfeld episode where they're in a parking garage and they cannot find their car to save their lives, and a fish dies as a result of it, and all kinds of bad things. So that's like a mini twofer. I can't get to Ghostbusters from there. Unless there was a scene in Ghostbusters where they're in a parking garage.
I don't even have a connection with 2 of them.
I wish it was that one because I love that episode.
All right, so I'll give you a little hint. Okay, so people are getting on the right track. They're getting closer because they're in the right. They're on the right path. So somebody else mentioned A Christmas Story. Someone mentioned Scrooged. It's
a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie.
I got nothing.
I'm racking my brain. I've seen every single Christmas movie.
John's saying the same thing I did, peeing in the garage or forgetting where you parked. I didn't pee in the garage, just to be clear.
New York was a good guess. Actually, a really good guess, but the shopping malls could be anywhere. So, all right. So you want me to give it up?
Yeah, I got
one more hint, because I feel like it's on the I feel like it's right there for all of us.
You've got a huge hint. It's a Christmas movie.
A Christmas movie.
Seinfeld wasn't a Christmas movie.
No, but was there an episode that was like a featured a Christmas movie?
Angry got it.
A Christmas Story.
No, Angry got it right down here.
Christmas Vacation?
Yes.
I don't see how.
How?
You could have given me the topic.
Okay, tell me, because I love Christmas.
I still don't have it.
Chevy Chase was in the Ghostbusters video. He was? Yes, he was in the Ghostbusters. That's why I kept going to the Ghostbusters movie, music video. We talked a lot about the video and the song. Okay. So Chevy Chase was in the Ghostbusters video. Elaine in Seinfeld played Margot.
Was in Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation. Why is the carpet wet, Todd?
Todd.
Margot.
You know what? You could stop right now, and I still don't have it. I still don't know what they were in the mall in a Christmas Vacation.
Holiday shopping in the mall. It's one of the best scenes in Christmas Vacation.
Oh, with Chevy Chase, and the perfume girl
for his wife.
Yes,
and yeah, exactly. Couldn't be any hooter hotter than it is.
Any hooter.
Never would have gotten it.
I say nipple.
Yes, Elaine in Christmas Vacation. That was one of my favorite lines from that movie. Why is the carpet all wet, Todd?
I don't know, Margot. I just got my sister 2 ornaments, Christmas ornaments. It says that. Why is the carpet so wet, Todd? And the other one says, I don't know, Margot.
I don't know, Margot. Could they have been more late 80s, early 90s characters either? I mean, that was Margot and that Todd was it. Never would have gotten it. You know, how did I not? I should have Elaine. And I don't know.
Where do you put a tree like that, Griswold?
You know, it's
over and
if
I'll
you
show
would
you.
have just said Seinfeld, I would have gotten a Christmas Vacation, but there was no way I was connecting Ghostbusters. I remember Chevy Chase being in Paul Simon's You Can Call Me Al. I don't remember him in Ghostbusters.
I don't remember him. I remember in Al too, or You Can Call Me Al, but I don't remember him in the Ghostbusters video either. I haven't seen that video in, mind you, 30 years.
30 years.
So, yeah.
So I had a lot of different ways I could go with this, and I thought about using Caddyshack because Chevy Chase, you know, being in Caddyshack, I thought that would be like, but then I thought if I had Caddyshack and then Seinfeld, I looked at Everybody Loves Raymond with Doris Roberts because she was also, right. Big Bang Theory, Rusty, you know, and Johnny Galecki was Rusty, and also what's his name in Big Bang Theory?
Leonard
Hofstadter. Trading Places had Todd in it, but that was like a little too minor of a character.
See.
So anyway, I decided on that's why I was trying to drive us towards the music video.
No, you did, and you don't have to. I mean, it's there. I mentioned the music video even without you doing it. It's we talked about you nailed it. It's just we didn't see the forest for the trees on this one. Elaine should have driven me there.
Yeah.
The Chevy Chase. It was the final piece that drove me away was Ghostbusters. I couldn't connect it no matter what. Even the parking garage, which I kind of like the mini connection.
I like
that. I'd forgotten that experience, and that was the mall every single time. And it wasn't a garage; it was outside freezing with like 15 shopping bags, and we were all like loaded down. We're like, Mom, I'm tired. It's like, and she was tired and angry, and my dad was like frustrated. And I'm like, where's the car? Shut up.
Well,
listen,
you know, Chris, Christmas Vacation, I love the movie, so I wanted to be able to talk about it.
Regardless of how you got there, that movie for me is like chef's kiss, because I could do it line by line. I love that movie. I showed that movie to my kids probably when they were way too young. You know, that dog licking snake, but you know, that whole thing. One of these days I'm going to memorize that.
Watch it tonight.
You surprised, Clark? Eddie, I wouldn't be more surprised if I woke up tomorrow with my head sewn to the carpet. I wouldn't be more surprised than I am right now.
Shitter's full.
Shitter's full.
The whole movie, there's so many great lines. And then of course, you know, you have, what's his name? Johnny Galecki playing Rusty, who then goes on to Roseanne and goes on to The Big Bang Theory. I mean, that would be a great one as far as a connection. I mean, what a career he's had with 3 stops, basically.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's done some other things, but 3 massive stops along his career.
So I got to ask, Angry, were you just throwing out the name of a movie, or did you connect it? Because people were just throwing, before we give up a full point your way, I got to know, be honest. Did you connect it, or were you just throwing out names of a movie?
Oh, good question.
Because he's proud of being a Gen Xer. Well, me too.
Just
that
say you
doesn't answer
connected
the
it. Just say you connected it.
Just lie.
Either way, you get the point, my friend. So here's the deal. As we end the show, I've decided on something because I've been racking my brain trying to figure something out. So in the next couple of weeks, the 3 of us are going to come up with a contest related to the show. Okay. And the prize, if you guys see Kryptonite Fitness in the comments, he does 3D printing, and he was kind enough to have created this Goonies treasure chest for me.
Wow.
Damn.
And it's full of Goonies stuff.
Holy, that 3D printed?
I'm not sure the chest was. Everything in it definitely was.
Amazing.
Wow.
This will be what the lucky viewer gets for winning the episode of the 3-View Mirror in the next week or 2. Now, I'm going to talk with Chris and Shell, and there's going to be some rules, one of which is we want a packed house. We're trying to grow the show. Mm-hmm. We're trying to get this thing out. I'm going to lean on you guys as our co-hosts, as our friends, and also as greedy motherfuckers that would like to have this, that if you can fill up this virtual live studio, you can share the episode with your friends. If you can help us grow it, stay tuned. Follow the 3-View Mirror on Facebook. Go to the 3-View Mirror on YouTube, but primarily Facebook. follow therefore some instructions, because without the instructions, you ain't going to get your hands on this.
Aha. Yeah, I like it. I like it.
So, and send your friends. I'm not being altruistic here. I have ulterior motives, and the ulterior motive is to grow the page big enough, fast enough that when we go on tour, there's people actually in the audience. And I'm willing to give away some stuff to do it.
I'm willing to do stuff like that too. I know.
Yeah, I love it. That's great. That's cool
Are
stuff.
we froze?
Really cool.
Oh.
No,
I don't think so.
that's really cool
I
stuff.
froze for a second. That's really cool stuff. So,
Oh, well, thanks. I'm glad you like our shirts.
yeah.
I get all my movie t-shirts from Redbubble. That's where I can go to like search and support.
And I've actually got a Redbubble site. You can always search Gen X Jono for the holidays if you want to get some Gen X related stuff on Redbubble. But at any rate, keep an eye on it for that. That's all I got, guys.
next week.
And Angry says he did connect it. Yeah, but this isn't the week where you get the stuff.
Now, next week I will be hosting, and we're going to do 5:30 again, just to tell everybody.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do 5:30. We may be changing the time at some point in the future here, but 5:30 next week.
Okay.
And we'll have a new time.
It'll definitely be a Christmas episode. Because we are heading right into Christmas. So definitely a Christmas episode. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as we wrap up, does everybody remember what the blessing was?
He said to say the blessing. Listen, I do have a fun fact.
To the flag.
Did you know that I cannot remember her real name, that she was actually the voice of Betty Boop when she was younger?
Yeah, somebody mentioned that in the chat too. Yeah. Betty Boop, and I believe Olive Oil as well.
And Olive Oil, yes, which I thought was amazing. Aunt Bethany, right? Is it Bethany? Aunt Bethany. Bethany, yeah.
Blessing.
Yeah. I think we say that every year at Thanksgiving.
God.
You have to.
Yeah. We slap the turkey, like before you put it in the oven. Did you ever do that?
No.
It's like smacking an ass. It's like you just slap the turkey, and then when you eat, you say, "You said to say the blessing."
You know, you went an hour and 11 minutes without being weird, Shelley, and you just couldn't hold it for the whole episode. Now we're slapping turkey. So close.
Listen, if you've never slapped a turkey, you got to do it. It's got to be part of your Thanksgiving traditions or your Christmas traditions. Before you put any salt and pepper on that baby, slap that breast, and you'll do it every year.
That's what she said.
All right.
Well,
is that like slapping the base?
I'm done. I have a brand to protect. I need to exit the building before this goes wrong. Guys, all my love. See you next week, Friday at 5:30. We'll try to get some details on the contest. In the meantime, bring a friend next week.
Yes.
See if we can double the people in the room.
Yes.
I'm John saying peace out.
See ya.
Later. Stay rad, everybody.
All right. Didn't mean to spread.